Alright, welcome to episode 6 of my Cosmonaut developer commentary. In this episode, we'll be going over the chapter Industrialization, which was initially made in September of 2018. So, this area that we enter into this level is probably my favourite area of the mod, as well as the mine shaft, cart ride. And it's just because I wanted this place eventually to be a place of serenity and calm and just a peaceful place to be. I did kind of flirt with the idea of putting in an Antlion Guardian battle, so the Guardian would be up here and run down when you landed, but I decided not to do that again because I wanted it to be calm and peaceful. For those people who like to explore, you can go back up to the top. And this is one of these places where, when I was making the mine cart ride, I could picture what this place looked like in my head very, very vividly. And that rarely happens with maps. Sometimes I kind of have a general idea, but here I could picture this, and then I made it exactly as I saw it, and this is what it is. And I had this whole path going up here, and there's stuff to find. These technically should be in here, but for some reason in Hammer, the crossbow model doesn't exist. I don't know if that's something I did, or if that's just Hammer in general, so I just put them both outside so they can both, the player can see them both, and you get rewarded with these and this view of the the map. And this level is the zombie level. Obviously, as I said last episode, I tried to vary things up towards the end. Now, I'm not sure why these barrels are flashing, and there's a lot of bugs and glitches. This puzzle is it's technically the puzzle from the very start of NostalgiaVille Cosmonaut, but just a bit different. So, obviously the elevator's not down, but the elevator is broken. It does not work. That doesn't make a noise, even though it should. So I designed this puzzle, and I'm quite happy with this puzzle, but it has a lot of flaws, and I will explain them in a minute. Going through this door, I wanted an exciting way of introducing the fast zombie. I didn't just want it to be, it's just there. I wanted it an interesting way, so this is why I designed this. Doesn't really make much sense that all of these crates broke, but it does get the player, or at least it mostly gets the player, and yeah, just an interesting way. And it's not as if he can do much damage in this corridor, because I always feel fast zombies are outdoors enemies to have. So this puzzle, the aim is to get the plug into the generator. Now initially I wanted this plug to be constrained. I didn't want this plug to be far-reaching. I have no idea how. I tried with all the different types of constraints. I looked at Valve's way of constraining things. I just couldn't get it to work. So I put triggers where it would teleport back, and everyone reported it as a glitch, like, oh, it's glitching out, it's glitching out. Even though I just couldn't constrain it for some reason, and I wish I could. And what the way to solve the puzzle is, you push the button, you push the generator through, which I'll basically just go do that now, in fact. And people said, oh, it doesn't look like you can push it because you can't usually push these things. And in terms of adding in things, I'm not going to add things into my mod that is usually in Half-Life 2. Oh, it's not usually, well, this is how it is in this mod. But, and I thought with this thing, people pick it up instantly, and these hazard things at the side, people will pick it up, and some people did, others didn't. But I never considered that in other people's minds, they thought that you had to do it the other way about. You have to take that, move it into this area, and you can in fact now do it the other way about. I removed the triggers so you can't. You can actually do it the other way about, and it doesn't really make much difference. So it's up to the player how they solve this one. But yeah, that was a big disappointment, I guess. These Combine soldier props have been added, or the ragdolls have been added to kind of show that the Combine are making their way the same area as you, the same direction as you, to go to the rocket. And they obviously didn't get on very well with these headcrabs. So, once again, I like giving the player ways of doing things, and it's something that was pointed out, all the different barrels and saw blades and all that. It's just in case the player wants to not use their guns. If they do want to use their guns, like I could have shot the two of these guys, that would have been great. Now, this area is designed so you see the exit immediately. When you walk around this corner, the exit is directly in front of you. You cannot miss it, but you can't get to it. That's the thing that the player has to work out. So I've opened this door to show that it is a route that you can go, and I've placed the grenade crate, which is the method of getting in the warehouse. I've placed that directly under the door, so the chances of the player missing it is slim. So we're just going to pick that up. Oh, we're already full. And I designed it so that if the player saw the door open here, then they will be able to deduce that the way to get in there is in this warehouse. They'd look in here, see the barrels, and then work it out. Now, I had to remove an area over there. There was a fence area looking into that building, but a few players thought that that was the way, and they were trying to work it out here. So I had to remove the fencing area and just put a wall there. And then hopefully the player can, work out that the grenade, the barrel, and they can throw it in, and it comes flying out. And this vent actually has a trigger push in it, where it will push the grenade much further than it should. And yeah, so that's it's one of these puzzles that some people miss, but I thought it was quite good to be able to see the exit, the route you can take, the way in, and then obviously using the grenades in. It's just a multi-step process. And this room, there's a lot planned for this room, but a lot of it was cut and moved to other warehouses. But I do admit, a lot of this is just warehouses, and as much as I like the way this level looks, I could have done far more in these warehouses. But by this point, it was kind of, a lot of the story was getting changed. Alright. I've given a good view of the entire warehouse. It's a deep warehouse. And if the player does climb to the top, they'll be able to get a sense of the puzzle and the fact that some players jump, but you can't make that unless you can like bunny hop or something. I don't know. And the issue is, I didn't want the light shining in through this door. It's actually just shining right through. So I put a block light on the other side, but then people started reporting it as no draw, and I had to remove it. So I wasn't quite sure how to fix that. So we're gonna do a simple, the simple puzzle. It's been done in a lot of games. I just wanted to include it in my mod twice, and this one's vertical. I did want to have it swinging, and physics prop, but it didn't work either. Another thing I wanted to do, if I go to this side, I designed these windows so fast zombies would be able to jump through them, and this would be the big thing, is fast zombies would be jumping through them. But I couldn't for the life of me get that working. They'd either just stay up there, some of them would jump down, but they would miss the player, you know, where the player was, and then they just go down there and just stay down there and not notice the player. So I thought instead of trying to mess about with that, I would just remove them. But again, there's a lot of things in this map which were really cool ideas that I just couldn't pull off. So here we are on the other side now. We'll have a bit of lag there because I saved. Here we've got the crossbow ammo. Now, this ammo only spawns if the player picks up the crossbow at the start. It will not spawn for those players who don't get it. I don't know why this table's moving. This was added very, very late on. Initially the bridge was actually at a slope going down, and someone said it looked off, which I didn't know what that meant. But I made it a straight bridge, and I added in the zombies. And that was because they got cut from the next map. I made the next another map between this map and the finale map, and it got cut. So this is again a teaching mechanic for that. So we can't just run straight forward. We've actually got to break the boards, and then we see him and we get the chance to either take him head on. He can't reach us unless we obviously break the boards, but that's how it was designed in episode 1 when you're on the train and Alex makes the infamous zombine joke. You know, you cannot get to the zombine, it cannot get to you, but it shows you what its functionality is. So that's what that area was. Here we're on the central bridge. It's quite a pinnacle point of the map, and what I'm doing from here on out is I'm showing the player where they are on the map. So the player's always going to be able to see this outdoors area. They're always going to be able to get a sense of where they are going round and kind of get their bearings. So this is the first instance of that, where the player can basically see the entire middle section of the map. There was a slight noise coming from that container when you walk in to kind of draw the player's attention. I'm not sure how effective it is, but it's to show that it's the focal pinnacle point of this warehouse. So this is the main well, it's not the main warehouse, it's like the secondary main warehouse. And you can go down to the bottom level, but there's not very much to find down here. This area is just if you fall off, you can then make it back up. So it was more a necessity rather than a feature. Again, I'm showing the player where they are, where they're going. They can see the forest area and the bridge that they were just on moments ago. Oh no, what's that? Just a little, you know, bit of danger there. I mean, I realise at this point it's not the most active fighting map, so I probably try to, you know, put as much combat in as possible, even though, for those of you who know me, I'm not a fan of a lot of combat. I do like to make the environments and the levels with puzzles rather than combat, but that's, you know, that's just what I like. If you go out here, you can see out into the car park and also get rewarded for looking. Moving to this warehouse serves no functionality similar to the first one except for moving through it, and that's why I added in that guy there. This conveyor belt's kind of showing the player that conveyor belts are a thing. They can climb on it. They can, you know, see it in action. I've also added these things here. Now, initially, I accidentally, because the very first iteration, I hadn't implemented the golden gnomes fully. So I had a gnome, a normal gnome, and if you pushed the button, a gnome would come out of there. And I accidentally left that in, so a gnome would kind of spawn. And someone, I think it was Lurker or someone like that, actually took it to the rocket thinking they were going to get an achievement. And I hadn't intended for this gnome to still be in the level, because obviously this isn't something I tested. So I've removed him now, and people were saying, oh, that's such a pointless fix. It's not a pointless fix, and it took me 2 seconds. But yeah, I have to admit, this warehouse looks quite cool, but serves no functionality. I wanted to utilise this area, but it's only used as a place where you can get objects. And then we go into the main middle area of the map. And you can use this warehouse if you so wish. These guys seem to be bugging out quite a lot. Whoa. And the reason that tunnel's there is because I knew there had to be some way of getting into this industrial park. Because I knew someone would point out if you couldn't, so this is kind of going under the ground into here, and it kind of gave me an excuse to build this middle part and include it as part of the gameplay. There's a lot of ammo and stuff to find here. There was originally a lot more zombies than those 3. I mean, some people said, oh, there's too many zombies, but I think 3 is fine if you can manage the area. I think if I was doing this area again, I'd make it so the player made it in further before getting assaulted or attacked. And then you get 2 more coming from the roof. And you can do that. Doesn't always work. In fact, I was hoping it'd work there. There we go. Just if you know, it's another way of getting rid of the zombies. You've also got the bricks, you've got some barrels. This is a door that had no draw on it. Or it wasn't no draw, it was the block light, but people thought it was no draw. And I like these guys jumping from the roofs. There was originally a lot more crossing over, but as with a lot of things, it didn't seem to work incredibly well. But I made this area very cluttered with lots of stuff overhead, because it just helps detail the area a lot more. A lot of people will run past that. They'll just go straight past, which is, you know, he makes the noise and then they either start getting chased or they have to go back and fight him. And that's how you use a shotgun. Now, this area is just another quiet area. Now, I do realise that the majority of this map is one big quiet area. But I quite like this area. It's very peaceful, similar to that area out there that you can see, and of course there's some crossbow ammo that you can get. I put this barrier here so the player actually goes over here to explore, because there's stuff to find, more enemies to fight, and then upon coming back they can duck down here. Oh, there we go. Took himself out. Initially, in the very first iteration, there was going to be this companion that you've been following would be on this elevator, and as you entered the warehouse, you would see them going down. So you would then have to get across. It's like, oh, you're almost, at them. So you would move, round. So that was the initial aim. Obviously, because it got removed, this is kind of just a a way around. And then we get to the conveyor belt, which I showed before. And I put that cardboard box on just to show it is a conveyor belt for those people who might not see it. It doesn't always go where I want it to go. A lot of people thought they were being led to their death here. I tried to make it as non-threatening as possible. And these things just break to make it interesting. Then we come to the puzzle, which is start the elevator. Very original, I know. And ideally I just have the player going up there and pulling a lever and then the elevator starting, but I had to have it connected to a button which was sparking so the user could see it when they came in. So obviously I've connected it to a generator and then connected that up to here, so the player kind of knows where they're going, and there's other places to explore as well which serve no purpose except for in the fight. You can maybe cower there. As you heard, maybe, we have this guy, and I deliberately designed this area where the health charger is directly in front of the player, and this guy is behind the player, and he's got kind of these boxes. Just to make it more interesting rather than him being right there. He's back there, and he makes a noise and alerts the player to its presence. Oh look, a head crab on fire. How did that happen? And then you hear the generator, and obviously it's up to the player to push the button. And it was at that point I think I should have made it so that the button pushed itself, or the elevator just started up by itself. And with this battle, there was originally supposed to be music, but it was the first track I made, and it was the worst track I made. So I decided against including it. But it would have kind of given it the hint of where the elevator was through the music. And you can go back in here, and sometimes these guys track you down, sometimes they don't. I mean, you can kind of just lead them around in circles, because I don't think these guys jump out the window. So it's quite an underwhelming battle in some cases. I don't know, it just... And they will always spawn until you make it onto the elevator. So, never-ending zombies. And that's why I have this tone here, is a lot of the playtesters were not realising that this elevator was up, so I had to put that tone there to draw their attention to it. This is a very slow elevator, but it kind of I lit the room up orange to make it interesting, but some people thought they were being dropped into like a furnace or something. And I also repaired the elevator, so if you were underneath that, it would crush you. I don't know why anyone was standing underneath the elevator. That's something I never questioned, but I fixed that. So here we are. This room had a lot of purpose in the cut map. So through this door, these doors there, you would be able to go, basically. And that would be the way to the next map, which was another sewer map, but it was very different. And I'll show you it in a few videos' time. But yeah, that's what this area was for, and you would see your companion at that console and have to make it round to them through, you know, vent here. And then that's when you would meet them and you would fight together in the next map and the finale map, but obviously that didn't happen. So now now that this is one of the weakest points of the mod, it's very slow, there's no combat. I know people really wanted the combat, and I know that more than anyone now. But yeah, it's unfortunate I stuck with the story as long as I did. I think Cosmonaut should have probably been scrapped as soon as I finished it for NostalgiaVille, but that's just, that's just how it is. This room again, there was quite a lot of things that were cut from here. First off, the barnacles, because obviously when you go over here, you have the scary boy. And if he got caught by the barnacles, the game would crash, which is something that shouldn't be happening. But it happens. It's a bit unfortunate. But yeah, this room it's good because you can actually make it down there. Not just as the broken bridge part of the environment, it's also a way you can, move up and down. And I saw on, I think it was the Half-Life subreddit, there was someone posted about this crate and said, "What's this crate? It's only ever in, one map. What's it for?" And everyone was saying, "Oh, but it's a nice looking crate." So I added that in as a kind of a tribute to it. You can actually break it and get the Magnum or whatever gun it is as kind of a reward. And as I said, this gun's hidden in most of the maps. And that's the end of the 6th chapter. So it's very disappointing for me, that one, because it's got such a great start, but then the rest of the map is very slow and a lot of the ideas were cut. But overall, I'm glad I made it. I'm glad it's out there. And I will see you all for episode 7 of my Cosmonaut developer commentary.